Hello everybody, it's WJ here and welcome back to Heimstadt. Now today we start with some railroad layout and then we're gonna build a second factory. Sadly, I'm not going to finish the detailing of the factory in this episode because the footage I had when edited was over 40 minutes long and that would have been too long for one episode. So we'll lay out the factory in this episode, some minor detailing on the building itself, and then next episode we'll continue with the distribution side of the factory. The railroads that I'm placing down right now, I don't really like them. And I have already tweaked them a little bit off camera, but I'm still not satisfied, so probably I will redo it all later on. But first I want to talk about my newest series on YouTube that I started last week, called The North, my Dutch city build, or should I say Dutch region build. Yeah, thank you all so much for those fantastic reactions, and it really makes me want to continue with that build. And we will do so next week, so stay tuned. Okay, something else I want to talk about. I read a story of somebody saying that older YouTube series like Rhinestone Island or the early days of Springwood, for example, were more fun to him. He felt that they were actually more creative than the latest YouTube series that really focus on realism. Mostly because people nowadays tend to recreate a lot. So they look on Google Earth and then pretty much copy what they see. And back in the days when the possibilities of the game were more limited, people had to come up with their own stuff, and I can understand somewhat this critique, but on the other hand I must say I myself also try to make things as realistic as possible, and I really also look at Google Earth for inspiration, but when I go into the game I don't look at Google Earth anymore and I just build and I try to come up with stuff that I think looks realistic. So I don't know about the creative side. On the other hand, I do agree that the pace of these episodes is way slower because it takes a lot of time to place everything and move everything to the right position. And if you have any opinions on the matter, please do share in the comment section. Now we go over to the factory. For this factory I actually took some inspiration from an aluminium factory in Essen, Germany. Although the end result is pretty much my own. I'm placing down these Japanese warehouses to create 3 long buildings. Now I have no idea how this functions, but I thought it just looked really nice. Now I placed all these roads here in between and that makes cars and trucks drive through the buildings. I don't really need them, but I want the buildings to function because I don't use the Demand Master mod and I still want my city to function. With the realistic population and consumption mod, the values of needed industrial and commercial buildings changes, and with this many factories I won't be needing any industry elsewhere for quite some time. Though I do need to connect this factory with public transport. Maybe some special buses to fake the bus service, like for example the steel industry in the Netherlands has. Now I'm placing these catenaries on top, and they are to support things like ventilation and exhaust things and stuff like that. I placed them with the procedural objects mod, mostly to save on the prop count. Now I noticed that when you go over 2500 procedural objects, the game starts to lag when you copy these procedural objects around. And it gets worse the more you have. So I guess just be patient. The detailing here on top is all pure imagination. I place some fans and then I'll be using some generators and farming equipment to fake stuff on top. And it's mostly just to get some different colors in, because with all this blue it looks a bit bland. use the side of the building to align the rotation of this piece of farming equipment as best as I can. And then I place it on top and adjust it slightly so that it looks perfect and copy it over. It's some kind of exhaust, I'm not sure what, doesn't really matter. Looks nice, that's what counts. I must say, doing commentary like this just on the fly is pretty hard, but I'll get to it in the end. The factory in Essen has some tanks in between. I place them with procedural objects so I can slightly adjust the size. And then just place and copy them. Then I need some pipes. I use the pipes by WikkeD to connect the tanks to the buildings. After I place the pipes, I need some platforms and then some stairs, so the factory workers can go up there and do some maintenance on these tanks. The way I place these stairs forces the factory workers to have to climb over the pipes, which is a bit odd, but yeah, whatever. Now, I wanted some color variation for the buildings, because I thought it was a bit too blue. So the middle building gets a rusty roof. I turned some rusty warehouses into procedural objects. Now aligning the rotation is quite difficult, so in the end I just place them in line and then adjust some parts slightly so it overall looks nice. Then I place these conveyors by Ronix on top of the building. I turned them into procedural objects as well. In this case, because these conveyors are actually buildings, so when you raise or lower them, it also affects the terrain, and I don't want that. Again, aligning the rotation is a bit difficult, so just place them in line and then afterwards adjust everything. Now it's big pipe time. I use these concrete pipes by Beard Monkey that he made for the Osara series or the Osahara series to connect the buildings, and these pipes will also connect to a fourth building that I will start building right after I'm done with these pipes. Now everything you see I built in September, so at that time the align rotation option for Move It wasn't there yet, which is so useful. But I built this while I was working on Erdenholt, and for the continuation of the series I thought it was better to first finish Erdenholt before starting with this. But meanwhile, I also have created another district while this industry is still not finished. So I'm not sure how I'll continue, but probably I will be alternating between building districts and finishing this industrial area. Now I'm starting with this fourth building, and I'm not sure what happens inside this building, but the way I build it, I think it just looks nice. Yes, I'm using some vanilla buildings here. Some vanilla industrial tanks. I do like the way they work together with this building. I just need to adjust the color a little bit because I don't like that. And then again some pipes, because, well, pipes. I need pipes everywhere. These pipes are mostly used to transport gases between all the different factories and buildings and stuff. And now I'm placing more vanilla buildings to get some detail here on the side of this warehouse building. I turned the color of all of them to white because I think that looks the best with this building. I don't like the bottom part of these buildings, so I take the Japanese warehouse and turn it into a procedural object to cover it all up. But the top of the windows are just above the ground, so I need to find the right nodes and lower them to cover up the gap. Then copy it over to the other side. Now that I placed all that, I want to cover up the backside of the building. So I use a different warehouse and create a nice shape to make a transition to a large smokestack. And now I copy the pipes over to the other side of the building. then it's time to detail the sides of the buildings, with a lot of pipes. First, I start off with some simple prop pipes that are already rotated in the right way, so I can just place them on the side. But then we go over to some other types of pipes, and they should be on top of the building actually. So I turn them into procedural object and then rotate them so I can put them on the side. Again, I don't really know what the function is of all these pipes, but it just looks really nice on the side. And yes, I have been looking at Google Earth at factories like this, and they all have a lot of pipes everywhere. Now we need to connect these buildings, and therefore I'm using a few smaller warehouses. Also on the back side I wanted something different, so again these smaller warehouses. And then we place some pipes. Again, pipes everywhere. And after I've placed these pipes, this video comes to an end. In the next video we will have a look at the distribution side of the factory and a lot of detailing. If you have seen any assets or mods that you would like to use yourself, I have 3 collections that are linked in the descriptions. One for all the mods, one for all the buildings, and one for all other stuff such as props, roads, vehicles, etc. But beware, do not download all of them at once. You'll need quite some RAM to use all of the assets. I advise you to just look through the collection and only subscribe to what you like. And remember, always read the description, you may end up breaking your game. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, do leave them in the comment section or join the Discord. I would like to thank you all for watching, and if you like this video, give it a nice thumbs up. I hope to see you next time. Come on. Oh, bam. That's horrible. I'm gonna start this all over again. I'm gonna try it. Potverdikkie. Position and everything.